Ali MacGraw tells the story of how scary it was to be married to Steve McQueen. In the fancy world of Hollywood movies in the 1970s, they were the biggest stars around. She was a beautiful lady who was very famous for a sad movie called Love Story. He was a tough guy called the King of Cool who got paid more than any other actor. When Ali and Steve fell in love while making a movie in 1972, everyone thought they were perfect. But people did not see the mean things happening at home, like how he kept her away from her friends and family. He was always jealous and watched everything she did, and he loved doing dangerous things that made her feel very scared. He also had other girlfriends, which really hurt their marriage and made it fall apart in the end. I was pretty and everyone loved me, but he treated me like I was something he owned, Ali said later. She finally talked about how the marriage stopped her from being a star and almost made her forget who she was. For a long time, Ali did not talk about the hard times she had while living with Steve. People still liked him even after he died from a sickness in 1980, but she stayed away from movies to fix her life. Now that she is over 80 years old, Ali is finally telling the truth about those many years of big trouble. It is a story that shows how even a strong, famous woman can lose herself to a bossy man. Back then, people thought it was okay for men to act that way, but it was actually very wrong. Tonight, we show what really happened inside one of the most famous and unhappy marriages in Hollywood history. It is a story about a woman who gave up her whole life for love, but found a man who only wanted to own her. Steve's life fell apart, and the happy story everyone believed in started to look like a big mess. First, he made her stop being an actress, and she gave up her job just to be with him. When Ali and Steve first fell in love on a movie set, she was the biggest star in the whole world. Her acting in Love Story won her big awards, and millions of people across the world loved her. At age 33, she was the star every movie boss wanted to hire because she was so good at acting. But just a few months after she married Steve, her great job as a movie star was basically over. Even though they didn't say it out loud then, Ali says now that Steve told her she had to choose. She had to choose between being his wife or keeping her job, and he wouldn't let her have both. I gave up everything for him, and he didn't even care, Ali said many years after it happened. He just wanted her to be Mrs. Steve McQueen and nothing else, not a famous actress. She had to be home and ready for him whenever he wanted her to be there for him. People in Hollywood were very surprised because they didn't know why a top star would just stop working. The movie company she worked for offered her many big parts, but she said no because Steve told her to. One movie boss said they wrote a special story just for her that would have been a huge hit for her. When she said no without even looking at the papers, they knew something was very wrong in her life. She wasn't just taking a vacation from work. She was throwing away the career she worked so hard for. What was really bad was that Steve could keep working while he told her she had to stop. Steve kept making many movies, and his job was the most important thing, but he told Ali no. Steve could not handle her being famous, said a friend who knew them both very well back then. He wanted to be the only star in the family, and he didn't want her to be a star too. Seeing his wife get so much attention made him feel like he wasn't a strong enough man anymore. Since Ali grew up in a time when wives were told to do what husbands wanted, she thought it was sweet. She later said she thought she was choosing love, but she realized too late that real love isn't mean like that. I thought I was being a good, loving wife, she told a person who interviewed her when she was old. It took me a long time to learn that someone who loves you wants you to do great things. By the time they broke up in 1978, Ali had been away from the movie world for 5 long years. When she tried to get a job again, things were different and it was hard for her to find work. She was older now, and Hollywood didn't have many parts for women her age, so she lost her chance. The best years of her life as an actress were gone because she gave them to a man who left her. It came down to 2 things. He wanted her to guess what he wanted without him even saying it out loud. Yes, it was like he wanted her to read his mind, and it was a very scary way to live. Second, he was very bossy and jealous, and he watched her like she was a person in a jail. Besides making her quit her job, Steve watched every single thing Ali did every day of her life. He told her how to look, who to talk to, and he even got mad about things she did before they met. He was jealous in scary ways, and Ali always worried about how he would act if she moved. Steve was very worried and didn't trust anyone, especially other men, according to a friend who knew her then. He would ask her lots of questions about any man she spoke to, even if it was just a regular person. Whether it was a man at a restaurant or a man she worked with a long time ago, he was mad. People say Steve listened to her phone calls and asked her who she talked to and what they said to her. Sometimes he would just show up where she was with friends to see if she was doing something wrong. He told her not to be friends with her old pals because he didn't want them talking to her at all. He even tried to control how she looked, which was very mean because she was famous for being pretty. Even though she was naturally beautiful, Steve didn't want her to wear any makeup or fix her hair nice. I was beautiful and people loved me, but he treated me like a toy he owned, Ali said later on. The funny thing was that he loved her because she looked pretty in movies, but then he hid her away. The worst thing was that Steve tried to act like Ali didn't have a life before he met her. He didn't want to hear about her first husband or the job she had when she was a young model. He wanted her to believe that her life only started the day she met him and nothing else mattered. Friends saw that Ali changed a lot and was now afraid to speak because Steve might get very angry. She was always looking at his face to see if he was mad, and she started acting very nervous all the time. She was a totally different person when he was around, said a lady who did her makeup for movies. The brave woman who spoke her mind was gone, and she was replaced by a woman who was afraid to talk. She still looked the same on the outside, but her happy spirit was gone because he was so mean to her. At first, Ali thought he was being bossy because he loved her so much and wanted to keep her safe. Back in the 1970s, people thought a jealous man was a romantic man, but it was actually just bad behavior. At first, I thought his jealousy meant I was special to him, Ali said many years later after she left. It took too long to see that you hide things you own in a box, but you let people you love grow. Then my marriage to Steve ended, and the perfect story the public believed in turned into a big, sad mess. Third, he loved to be in trouble, and he lived his life like he was always in a scary movie. While he told Ali she had to follow all his rules, Steve did whatever he wanted and had no rules at all. He loved danger, drugs, and being mean, which made Ali feel like she was always waiting for something bad. Steve's life was full of fast bikes, drinking, and fighting in bars, according to a man who worked with him. He needed to do wild things just to feel alive, and he never wanted to just sit still and be quiet. This wild life included taking things that made his mood change very fast, so Ali never knew if he was happy. Even though he kept his body strong for movies, he drank too much and took drugs that made him act crazy. Ali later said she felt like she was always in danger because his feelings changed so much every single day. She never knew if he would be nice when he got home or if he would be mean and yell at her. Because she never knew what to expect, she was always trying to make him happy so he wouldn't get mad. It also seemed like Steve just loved to fight with people for no reason at all, even when they were out. Friends said he would start big fights at dinners or parties just to make Ali feel embarrassed and sad. He liked the excitement of a fight, but she just wanted things to be quiet and peaceful for once. You could see her get stiff and scared when he started being mean to people at big Hollywood parties. She became very good at talking to people to stop Steve from hurting them or making a big scene. Their house was also a mess because Steve loved fast cars and bikes that were always being fixed there. While Steve liked the noise and the mess, it just made Ali feel more tired and worried every day. A writer said she looked very tired and like she was walking on eggshells so she wouldn't break anything. Even at work, She was always watching him to make sure he didn't do something bad or start a fight. The biggest problem was that Steve wanted to be free, but he didn't let Ali have any freedom at all. He could go away for days on his bike, but she had to be there the second he came back home. It was like living with a giant storm, Ali said later about how it felt to live with him. It was exciting at first, but then you realize the storm is always there and it might break your house. Being that worried all the time makes you feel very tired deep down in your heart and your soul. What do I remember about being a little kid? I remember eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches mostly. That's funny because I come from a family that broke up and you went through 4 big cups yourself. Fourth, he was with other women all the time, which was the biggest lie of their whole marriage. Even though he watched Ali and didn't let her talk to men, Steve had many other girlfriends while they were married. He slept with other women and didn't even try to hide it from the people he worked with on movies. The people making the movies knew and the other actors knew, but Ali had to act like it wasn't happening. These weren't just quick things. Steve had long relationships with other women even near the house he lived in with Ali. Ali knew about it, but she tried to stay with him at first because she thought she should be a good wife. She tried to ignore it and told herself it wasn't a big deal, but eventually it made her feel too sad. It was very mean because he was so jealous of her, but he thought he could do whatever he wanted. While she couldn't even talk to a man at work, he was out with other women and everyone was talking. It was a very unfair way to live, and the people who wrote about stars said it was a big double standard. If Ali had done even one little thing like that, Steve would have ended the marriage right that very second. But she was told she just had to take it because that is what happens when you marry a man like him. For Ali, this was the worst part because she saw that he didn't really love her. He just wanted to rule her. If he was really worried about losing her, he would have stayed true to her, but he didn't care at all. When she finally walked away, she realized she gave him everything and he gave her nothing back but lies. That was the moment she woke up and saw that all her hard work to be a good wife was a waste. The end came when she found out he was with a much younger woman for a very long time behind her back. She had forgiven him before, but this time she couldn't do it anymore and she was done with him. There is a big difference between ignoring one mistake and realizing your whole life is built on a giant lie. Ali finally saw that she was the only person in the house who was actually trying to make the marriage work. Once you see that, you have to leave or you are just being mean to yourself by staying there. I was only in that movie because I was a big star before and the studio wanted the girl they loved. Fifth, she lost who she was and had to work very hard for a long time to find herself again. When Ali left Steve in 1978, she wasn't just leaving a husband. She was trying to find out who she was. Fixing her life was much harder and took a lot more time than the time she spent losing herself. After they broke up, Ali left Hollywood because she needed to find herself again away from the cameras. She had to figure out who she was when she wasn't just being the wife of a famous movie star. Ali started to get better by moving far away to a place called New Mexico, where things were very quiet. She started doing things like yoga and sitting quietly to help her hear her own heart and her own thoughts. After years of doing only what Steve wanted, she needed to learn how to do what she wanted for once. These weren't just for fun. They were the only ways she could stay strong after being treated so badly. The fact that she stopped acting for 5 years really hurt her chance to be in more big movies later. While other actresses could take a break and come back, Hollywood didn't want women who were almost 40. It took many years for her to be able to speak up for herself again after being quiet for so long. She gave up her job right when she was about to become the biggest star in the whole world. By the time she felt okay enough to work again, the movie world had moved on and forgotten her. Ali did act in some TV shows later, but they weren't as big as the movies she could have made before. The woman who almost won the biggest award in movies was now just a lady on a TV show sometimes. She never got to see how famous she could have really been if she hadn't met Steve McQueen. Ali still has complicated feelings about Steve even though it has been a long time since he passed away. Just like other people who have been treated badly, she still remembers that she loved him even though he hurt her. At age 85, she said she loved him, but she felt like she was dying on the inside every day. It is hard to understand, but you can love someone and also know that they are doing very bad things to you. These kinds of relationships aren't just about being afraid. They are about feelings that are very hard to break. Ali's journey shows how a bossy man can change a strong woman and make her feel like she is nothing. Her story is a lesson for everyone about how love should not be used to control another person's life. The saddest part wasn't losing my job, Ali said in a talk she gave to a reporter just a few years ago. It was losing my own self and not even knowing I was doing it until it was all over and too late. By the time she knew what happened, she had lost many years of her life that she can never get back. This is what we can learn from Ali's story and why it is so important for us to hear it. Ali's life with Steve is more than just a story about two famous people who had a very bad marriage. It shows how a man with a big personality can take away a woman's life, her job, and her freedom. Ali's story is important because it shows the truth behind the man that everyone thought was a cool hero. While people think Steve was a cool rebel, Ali shows that he was actually a very mean boss at home. He wanted to be free to do whatever he wanted, but he wanted her to be like a bird in a cage. The 1970s were a weird time because women were starting to be free, but at home, men were still the bosses. Ali giving up her job showed that many people still expected wives to do whatever their husbands said. It is good that Ali is finally talking about what happened to her after keeping it a secret for so many years. By telling the truth about her fancy marriage, she helps other people see the signs of a bossy partner. These lessons are important for everyone, no matter when they live or if they are famous or not. I learned too late that love makes you bigger and better. It doesn't make you smaller, Ali said. If a person wants you to be less successful or have fewer friends, that is not real love at all. Her story also shows that it takes a very long time to feel better after someone has been mean to you. Moving away and doing yoga helped her find the voice that Steve had told her to keep quiet for so long. Now that she is in her 80s, Ali can say she loved him but also say that he really hurt her. She is smart enough to know that both of those things can be true at the same time. People want stories to be easy, like he was a bad guy and she was just a person who stayed, but it's harder than that. A doctor said that Ali's story helps people understand how these bad relationships actually work in real life. For young people, Ali's story is a warning about relationships that feel very exciting but slowly take your freedom. Things that look like love, like being jealous or wanting to be together every second, can actually be a trap. I don't regret loving him, but I am sad I lost myself, Ali said about her life with Steve. If her story helps even one person see the difference between love and being bossed around, she is glad she talked. Would you like me to find more stories about famous people from the 1970s?